Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of pop culture, TV, film, social media, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on social media, you know me as PD Beats. You will recognize my guest from Too Hot to Handle on Netflix. We're with Lydia Clyma. Lydia, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you.
No problem. I mean, it's an interesting situation for you because obviously with the quarantine, there's not much going on, but the show has kind of taken the world by storm on, online, so to speak. So you've been probably busy with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy time for it to be released. Obviously amazing because everybody's at home watching Netflix, watching Too Hot to Handle. But then on the flip side for us, we can't come out and see everyone, which sucks at the moment, but we'll get there.
Absolutely. So I always ask this question. Before Too Hot to Handle came an opportunity for you, because I find this is a 50-50 thing. Were you interested or into reality television before you were on the show?
So I don't actually watch reality television at all. Never have. I can't say I ever will. Mine's the first show I've ever watched in terms of reality. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's just one of those things in terms of actually doing it. It's like a why not sort of thing. Yeah, I couldn't see a reason why not.
Because I've interviewed people from other reality shows and I feel like it's split down the middle. Some people kind of say what you said, that they didn't really watch it. They knew about it, but didn't really watch it. But there's some people that were like, I loved reality TV. That's why I wanted to do the show. You get that a lot with, shows like Big Brother and The Bachelor, Bachelorette. Are you now starting to get interested in those shows now that you've been on a show like that?
I mean, I feel like I'd potentially do more, but I still don't feel like I would watch them. So I can't comment for how good they are from a viewer's perspective. Do you know what? I actually did watch Love is Blind because I felt like I needed to get a Netflix taste.
Yeah, from the Netflix family, of course.
Yeah, from the Netflix side, because I feel like Netflix reality TV and kind of just normal channel reality shows are completely different. So yeah, it depends whether you want to go for the normal shows or the Netflix shows.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about the reception so far from your family and friends of this show. I mean, the show kind of gets released on Netflix. It's taken the world by storm. What is kind of your immediate family and friends saying about everything?
Well, after actually watching the show, luckily, I feel like I did all right and they're all really proud of me. And in terms of actually how much I opened up in the show and stuff, that's normally not something I do. So they were really chuffed, but I got to say I was really nervous because of kind of the concept of what we thought the show was going to be. I mean, I'm sure not many parents are that thrilled when they say their child's going on a reality TV show or a second one, like that can only lead to God knows what. But thank God the actual concept of the show was completely different to what I was expecting, to what they would have been expecting, to what the world was expecting. So yeah, my family and friends have been amazing about it.
So are you originally from London, England?
No, so I come from the south coast of England in Portsmouth. And I've recently just gone up to London because that's where everything goes on in the UK. The hub is London. So it's the best place to be in terms of work and things like that. Absolutely.
Were you the reception of the show so far, like, going on your social media, seeing all the buzz, was it what you expected or has it exceeded expectations?
I mean, coming from a new show, because Too Hot to Handle, this was the first season, there was nothing to go on. We didn't know whether it was going to be the best show ever or the absolute worst. And obviously it's the audience who decides that. But the reception has been amazing. I think Too Hot to Handle is such a breath of fresh air. It's not just a typical dating show where you get people going in and hooking up and rah. Completely the opposite. And I think it's opened a lot of people's minds in general about themselves, about their own lives. Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible, literally incredible.
No, for sure. Besides, what people follow you on social media. They can see a lot of kind of what you're up to and everything. What are kind of some hobbies for Lydia? What are things you're into? Are you into sports? Are you into fitness? Like, what are some things, besides, what people would see on Too Hot to Handle that you're interested in?
Well, this is probably really sad, but my work is actually my hobby. So I work in the boxing and MMA world. I started as a ringer. I then went on to interview fighters and promoters and things like that. And I absolutely love it. Like, I liked watching the sports before, so being able to work in them was just incredible. So I'm so fortunate to like to go to work, and it kind of is my hobby. Like, I trained in a bit of boxing as well. So yeah, I got really lucky to fall into that.
We've interviewed a few UFC, because you see my show, I talk to everyone, TV, film, sports. So we've interviewed a few people from the UFC. Their stories and how they kind of prepare for their fights is pretty phenomenal to hear.
I mean, I don't know how they do it on it, let alone fighting, but even the preparation of like weight cutting and things like that. And I just think that is literally their life. Like, to be in that sort of sport, it consumes you, like you live and you breathe it. So for me to be able to witness it so close and like you interview fighters and things like that, it's incredible to just hear their stories and how their life is.
So your fellow castmates on Too Hot to Handle, did you tell them about your interest and your work in MMA and UFC? Because there's a lot of guys on that show that are very into fitness and very, very athletic. I'm wondering if one guy says, I was thinking of, fighting in the UFC one day. Like, did that ever happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, I did. Obviously, I've seen many UFC fighters, and I was kind of looking at some of them, and I did tell them, and I was like, come on then, let's spar. Because I feel like, I'm nowhere near the UFC, but I feel like I kind of know a bit what I'm doing. I've watched it enough. So I was like, come on then, let's spar. But I mean, none of those lot would be able to hack the UFC. Sorry, guys, you wouldn't.
Can you see? Because obviously, you're taking everything in right now. You're going one day at a time with the show right now, and it hasn't even been 2-3 months. Like, it's been nuts so far. Like, I think top 5 Netflix, like in all like many countries. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming, and it's coming up to the second week tomorrow. So for it to do this well in the space of 2 weeks none of us were expecting it. So who knows what's going to happen in a month, in 2 months, when we're actually allowed out to meet people and do things. So yeah, we're really lucky to have such a big hype around the show. What
I really think is cool too is, there's like Too Hot to Handle is a reality show. Then there's shows like the drama shows like Ozark, and then there's the drama documentary, the Tiger King, Outer Banks, Money Heist. All these shows, there's like the Michael Jordan documentaries, The Last Dance. All these shows I feel like are kind of working together, and because people are watching all of them, and even though they're different genres, I find it kind of a cool like Netflix quarantine family, so to speak. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. Do you know what? You're so right. And I think that's the thing, is one thing leads on to another, and they're all in a very weird way, like kind of linked together. And especially like we came, like it was The Circle that was first, and then Love is Blind came next, and then we come off the back of that. So I think it's also, Netflix are very strategic in the way that they give out their content and sort of thing. And they know, at the end of the day, they know what their audience wants, and there is always something different. Like, no one was ever expecting something like Tiger King, and no one was expecting something like Too Hot to Handle. So Netflix just know what they're doing.
Well, what I find funny is, I was talking to some friends, and they just mentioned, that Too Hot to Handle was going to come on Netflix. This is even before I saw like a trailer, right? But like people talked about it, and I said like right away, just because seeing Love is Blind and The Circle, I said right in my head, I'm like, when I found out about the concept, I'm like, this is going to be huge. Like did you kind of know when you were kind of like, when all the ducks were in the row, and you kind of found out it was going to be on Netflix, it was going to look like this, it was going to be here, you kind of have a little bit of idea that there's going to be some kind of explosion of popularity or something like that a little bit?
Well, in all honesty, we were kept so in the dark. We knew nothing. We saw nothing. We had no idea what was going to be in the show, how it was even going to be put together. So in terms of knowing we made it and thinking, cool, it's going to be great, we had no clue. The only thing we had to go off of is Love is Blind. And like I said, quarantine did us a bit of a favor where everyone is in their house. They've got no choice but to watch us anyway. But I think what it came down to was the concept of the show is so different to any other dating show. So the whole point of any show, like we've got Love Island, is you have to couple up and that's it. That's the aim of the show. That's it. Whereas it's something really strange in our kind of day age society. These type of people going into a house and not having sex and not kissing, and people are like, how does that work? Like, this is going to be boring. That's weird. And actually it's the complete opposite. So yeah, I think the concept is what made it so big, something different and interesting to everyone.
You mentioned Love Island, and you mentioned, like, I'm Too Hot to Handle, Love is Blind. And the one thing that I just thought of right now is it was a show, back in the day called Fantasy Island, but they just remade a horror film. Blumhouse made a movie, Fantasy Island, right? I just thought of that. I don't know why. So I'm a big horror movie fan. Horror movies are something that has been kind of... Have you thought about maybe like getting into, maybe acting? Is that something that you thought of a little bit?
I mean, I laugh a lot. I don't know how good my acting skills would be, especially in a horror. I'd find everything hilarious. But I mean, if I got some lessons, I'd be so down for it. Like, I've had a lot of messages saying like you should go in to do films. Like, you look like, who's that lady from Fast and Furious?
Gal Gadot. Or no,
Do you know who I'm about?
I think I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry if she's watching. But people are like, you look like her, and someone tagged me in something today, and they're like, they need to make an Aquawoman, and I'm like, these things sound really cool. So I feel like I need to get some acting lessons and stuff, because I'd be down for that. Maybe not horror though. I wouldn't watch myself back. I'd be petrified. I don't do horror films.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about people. I haven't asked people, like, I've had a lot of people on pretty big horror movies on my show, but I haven't asked them about if they ever laughed. But like, I don't know. I feel like the same thing with like when you guys were filming Too Hot to Handle. I'm sure there were certain things, like, everyone's different, right? There were some things that made you laugh that wouldn't have made other people laugh, or maybe there were some things that would make you feel a certain way that didn't make. I mean, it depends on the people, right? Yeah,
that's so true. The thing is in that house, every single one of us is so different to the other. So there were times when, like you said, things weren't funny to some people to a very like big extent, and then to other things they were funny. And you saw a tiny bit of it on the show, but obviously when you've got such big personalities like that doing something so different to all of us, and we were forced to be so open with each other, it's a mixed bag. Lots of mixed emotions on the daily.
I want you to give me right now 3 words to describe Too Hot to Handle, the show.
From an outsider's point of view, or from myself, like, doing it?
An outsider's, because we want people to watch the show, right? We want people to check it out. It's fun. Like, what are some, like, we want people to check out the show, right? So 3 words to describe the show, Lydia.
3 words to describe Too Hot to Handle would be tense, exciting, and emotional. I feel like when you watch a program, you should always feel something, whether that's happiness, whether that's sadness, whether that's being excited. You should always have some sort of emotional roller coaster going on, because that's how you remember a show at the end of the day. You feel something when you watch it, and Too Hot to Handle, you'll definitely feel something.
Absolutely. Well, Lydia, thank you so much for joining me on Popternative.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
No problem. So where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
So I am on Instagram and I'm on YouTube, and both of them are just at Lydia Clyma, LYDIACLYMA.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and congrats with the success on Too Hot to Handle, and I hope it continues.
Amazing. Right, I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Be sure to watch Too Hot to Handle, now available on Netflix. Until next time, this is Lydia Clyma and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.